We can use it. Got it.
There we go.
Okay.
This one, we got some faces.
All right, you ready to go now?
Yep.
Okay. Thank everybody for being here today. This special meeting, we've got a couple items we need to address. I'll introduce Rick Hall from Barnes and Thornburg. He's going to bring a couple things to us that we need to take care of and get some paperwork taken care of.
Thanks, Bob. So the first item on the agenda for the commissioners relates to the Deriva Turtle Creek solar project. So as you know, earlier this month, we approved agreements with them for their project, a decommissioning agreement and a road use agreement. Under the decommissioning agreement and road use agreement, they're required to post bonds by March 30th today. They have that on the road use agreement, but because some of the terms that we're requesting are significant for them, a 5-year bond term, they're still working to locate the provider for that. So there's a letter for the commissioners to approve that just extends their deadline to April 10th in order to post the decommissioning bond. This is something you can just approve by an oral motion if you so desire.
Got a motion and a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Original signed?
Hannah wants that top one.
What's that?
That top one,
Okay.
yeah.
So next, the bigger item is the consideration of agreements with respect to the Heartland Industrial Park and the possible development of a data center on that site. And I think the best way to proceed here would be first to have the company, Illich, if you could, describe what your project is and what it brings to the county.
Sure. Illich Fahimi, some of you know me, good to see you. Nice to meet everybody here. I've got Jack here with me from Stantec, our lead engineer for Heartland Industrial, and retired 3-star General John Davis with us as well. So Heartland Industrial Park, we are a industrial manufacturing campus. Yes, our first anchor tenant is a data center. What we're bringing to the town of Sullivan, what this means is a $65 billion investment into the town of Sullivan. It's multiple phases, about 2,750 jobs on construction, about 500 permanent jobs when the construction is complete. We've also, in this package that you have before you, we're committing $50 million towards the town of Sullivan for infrastructure. The county, sorry, not the town. And,
Trying to get you up, JD.
Yeah. And $4.5 million of charitable donations towards local, charities that you desire. So that's it in a nutshell. Any questions?
And that was, the number was, a total investment again was?
$65 billion.
With a B. I just want everybody to make sure they understand that it's a B invested in our county. Okay.
We printed 50 of these and looks like they went out pretty quick. They're both sides, and if you scan the back, there's a myths, facts about just the site itself, and then there's a QR code that takes you to the website that shows you what this entire campus is about.
Anything else, Rich?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to ask, so
Yeah.
in the agreement, it provides for $35 billion. And is that just to maintain expectations or?
Yeah, $35 billion, I believe, is for the infrastructure itself. My engineer can keep me whole here. Is that true?
It says in the agreement, whereas clauses, it's anticipated you'll invest $35 billion.
Okay.
So I assume that's just because you don't want to be held to $65 billion if it doesn't happen, given the early stages.
And keep in mind, and I didn't mention, but it is 1,000+ acres. Our anchor tenant is a data center. We are working with others. There's multiple different factories that we're talking to, and that's why there's a asterisk on the 65 with the capital B. we're hoping to exceed this.
Okay, so it could be beyond, that number could include development beyond the current data center
Correct.
that we're thinking
Correct.
about. So when you look at this agreement and proposal from the county's perspective, the county does not have any zoning. So you don't have the normal zoning approval process that you would have in most other counties, where the company would have to go through a zoning process. Here in Sullivan County, they don't. I mean, they can just build what they want without any approval of the county government. The county does have roads that the developer will need to use that there's also a road use agreement for consideration by the commissioners. So that is something to, the county would have to work with the developer. But when you start with the perspective of, we don't have zoning to really manage what's coming in. And I think it's important that everybody understands this too. The company is not asking for any incentives. So if you've seen with respect to the solar projects that have come to the community, there's been tax abatements that have been approved. In exchange for that tax abatement, the county's received economic development payments, which kind of shifts the investment to allow for more cash to the county so they can do some things with it as opposed to all of it just going to the tax base. Here, when Illich says that they're going to provide $50 million to the county, they're doing so without requesting any tax abatement investment. I've been involved in a lot of data centers around the state, and I have not, I saw one where they withdrew their incentive request, but everywhere else, they've received personal property tax abatement and or real property tax abatement in the deals that I've been involved in. So for the company to come forward with $50 million to the county without asking for those incentives, this really is a very strong commitment from the company to develop the county, make sure the county has the resources to develop and continue to be a strong, vital, county moving forward into the future. So when you look at what does this project bring to the county, and Illich described some of this, and it's in your handout that you received, is that the project would be constructed in two phases. There'd be a phase one, which would be 2 buildings, and then there's phase 2, which would be 5 buildings. $10 million would come to the county when they start the first vertical construction on the first building for phase 1. And when do you anticipate that to be? This year, right? Sometime this year. So sometime in 2026,
Summer.
there'll be $10 million coming to the county. Again, in exchange for no incentives, just a contribution to the well-being of the county. The second $15 million would come upon the completion of the first phase. And when would you anticipate that? Sometime in 27 or 28?
27.
They're gonna move as fast as they absolutely can, I can promise you that. Goal will be 27, depending on weather as construction, right? We all know that impacts things, it could bleed into 28, but goals get done in 27.
So by early 2028, the county will get another $15 million for a total of $25 million. Then, with respect to phase 2, there's the same timing, $10 million when they start construction, first vertical construction, and $15 million when they complete the 5th building. Then there are community organizations that the commissioners wanted to make sure that there was some value brought to, and something that, tangible, that the community can see immediately from the project. And as Illich said, the company's is willing to make a contribution to those organizations of $1.5 million each. And the three organizations, Bob, you want to share what those are?
They would be Brown Baggers Food and School Program, Merriam Camp and Retreat Center, and Sullivan County Park and Lake. And our goal is to work with the company on how those are paid out, to set up trusts so that they could live off the interest. And they would have that principal there, and it could always live off the interest. I've been talking to someone from the Community Foundation to see how we go about doing that. But I know we can't let those checks come to the county, because then we can't distribute them. So we want to work with your organizations and the company to get the trust set up so that you always have that, that you have that approximately $50,000 a year that you can live off on the interest. So.
You'll see, if you read the agreement, that the approach from the county's perspective has been, let's define our relationship with the company, what contributions of dollars they're gonna make to the community, and when they're gonna make them. In the agreement, it provides flexibility as to how the county uses that money. It can be used for infrastructure, like fire protection, sewer out there in the county, any roads, any infrastructure project, or any other governmental purpose. Now, when you talk about that amount of money, there's obviously a lot of things you could do with that money, and a lot of good thoughts will come forward in the community, I'm sure, about how to best use that money. But at this point, because the company needs us to get these agreements approved so that they can go to the other partners that they have and say that we have the county on board with our project. And then that allows the other partners to have the comfort in that they're not gonna run into, a problem with the county. Then they can move forward with the project. If we don't do that, then there's doubt in the minds of those other investors as to what exactly will happen in Sullivan County. And what that does is it bumps you out of the queue from the projects that are ripe to be funded and go forward to those that are not. And so when we approach this relationship with the company, we wanted to make clear, like I said earlier, what their commitment is in terms of funds to the county and when. But we didn't want to get into a lot of detail as to, well, it'll be used for this project A or project B or project C, because they don't really care. I mean, it's not really their issue. And if we were to try to do that now, I don't think we would have enough time to really have a thought out plan for how to use the money. So the point is to get the commitment from the company to pay when, then this Commissioners Council can figure out how to use that money once it's received and have a plan for that. And the same thing applies to the three organizations. Like I said, the commissioners wanted to be able to convey to the community, and the company wanted to be able to convey to the community that there's going to be real tangible benefits to some charitable organizations within the community. But how that actually works is something that, like Bob said, will need to be worked out with the foundation, whether it works, on the income, et cetera. But we don't have the time to dive into that now to meet their timing, to stay in the queue for the data center. So still more discussion to have on that. One other thing I think it's important to note in the agreement, because we're talking about use of this money for infrastructure, there's no obligation for the county to use that money to directly provide infrastructure that directly supports their project. So it's not like yeah, we're giving you 50 million, but we want you to take 25, we have an expectation you take 25 million of that and put in, a sewer system for us. It's true money to the county. So are any questions from the commissioners regarding the community enhancement agreement, which provides for these contributions? Or did I miss anything that you would like to highlight?
15 acres.
That's why, thank you.
Good point.
Yeah.
So,
You're doing a great job.
in addition to the other benefits that have been provided, is the company will contribute 15 acres of land to the county that could be used for a fire station near their site. So again, it comes not with restrictions of you know, this is what the fire station is going to look like, or it has to be this type of fire station, et cetera. But they're giving us that site with the flexibility to use it for a public purpose that benefits the county. So didn't want to overlook that. And, you know, as you know, that is in the handout, there's going to be almost an incomprehensible amount of taxes paid by this data center locally because there's not the tax abatement incentives. That is going to, give the county a lot of flexibility as to what it wants to do going forward and how it wants to manage its budget, et cetera, as well as, you know, the other taxing units in the community. So I think, you know, while it's easy to quantify these individual contributions that I mentioned, there's also going to be this influx of taxes that they pay, which will be far exceed any taxpayer in the county right now. The other thing that wanted to mention is that the state in this past legislative session has said that if the data center company applies for a sales and use tax exemption, which is granted solely at the discretion of the state of Indiana, then they're required to give back 1% of their of the taxes that they save on paying their utility bills back to the county. So it's 7% of, it's 1% of the 7% in sales tax that they would pay on their utility bills, which would be several $100,000 that come back to the county. While that legislation doesn't take effect until after July 1st, the company has agreed to have an agreement that is similar to what that exemption provides, notwithstanding the fact that the legislation isn't in effect yet.
And to be clear on the community donations, those will be split equally. There'll be 1.5 for each one of those 3 organizations. Think of anything else, Rick?
I can't.
You guys have any questions or comments? Okay, there's an order of the process we've got to do here, Rick, so if you would present the ones to us, how we need to sign these.
Sure. I didn't talk in very much detail about the road use agreement. The road use agreement is, and Jerry and I have been working on this together with the company for a couple months at least. And it's set up very similarly to the road use agreements that you have for your solar projects. So Jerry, you want to say what the roads are that are covered by it?
Yes, 54X from 41 over to the power plant, 50 west, and then 400 west from 54X north to 100 south. Those are the only 2 roads they're using.
Yeah.
And he says it's set up similar to the solar projects. We haven't got to completion of any of those, but they have agreed to completely reconstruct 54X at the end of their project. So that's Old State Highway, probably maybe the best road we have in the county. So there'll be extensive construction on that road, which they will have to maintain throughout construction. But at the end, they will completely reconstruct it. We'll have a brand new road from 41 over to the power plant.
Yeah, so in the solar agreements, we have an arrangement where the county and company go out and assess the current condition of the road and then come and the company has to repair it to that prior condition. Here, there's not going to be any investigation of the prior condition because they're just agreeing to replace it at the end when they're done. So I guess so there's two resolutions before you. One provides for the approval of the road use agreement and the execution by the commissioners of that agreement, subject to any minor changes that have to be made that aren't material. So for example, there's a couple exhibits that Jerry still has to review, and they'll be attached to the final signed agreement. But that resolution approves the road use agreement and its execution.
Okay, so you want to do the road use agreement resolution first, and then we still need to approve the road use agreement also?
No, that's approved by the
That's
resolution.
approved, just the resolution, okay. Okay. Any discussion amongst the group on the road use agreement? I'll entertain a motion then. Okay.
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second to approve the road use resolution. All in favor? Okay.
Okay, then the second,
The original.
yeah, when do we go?
There we just did.
Let's just sign them after here.
Okay.
So the second resolution before you does the same thing except with respect to the Community Enhancement Agreement, which provides for the various contributions that we've discussed earlier to be made by the company and the other benefits that they've agreed to provide to the county.
Any discussion on the resolution to approve the community enhancement agreement?
I just have one question real quick.
Sure.
You said, for the site, there's gonna be 500 permanent jobs. Do you guys have an annual salary, what these jobs are gonna pay, or
Range.
range?
Do I have Will in the room?
I think like our view on it is that we'll be able to county average, so, anywhere from probably $15,000 to $100,000.
Thank you, Will. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
And you said 2,700 construction jobs?
2,750 peak construction,
Okay.
both phases.
And you're having some discussions with the unions, is that right?
Yeah, is Brian here?
Rise here, yes.
They want to know if we're having discussions together and if we're working and moving forward and. Yes. So, yeah, we're working together, we're meeting again later today, and we got comments back to them, and we're working through this.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Do I have a motion to approve this then? Okay, John makes a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor? Thank you, everyone. Is there anything else we need to take care of at this meeting?
No, we need your signature on some things, but
Okay.
there's no other business before the commissioners.
All right. If there's no other business, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. And I want to thank everybody for being here today. I appreciate all your support.
Thank you.
Second, motion second.
Good job, Amy.